Hey there, news junkies and casual scrollers. Ever feel like you're stuck in a news cycle that's more like a broken record? Yeah, us too. We're bombarded with headlines every day. But who's deciding what we see? And more importantly, what we don't? For decades, Western media outlets have held the megaphone. They've dictated the global narrative. Think big names like CNN, BBC, the New York Times. These giants shape how we understand the world. But here's the catch. Their perspective isn't the only one, and it might not always be the most accurate. Enter the BRICS nations: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. These emerging powerhouses are shaking things up. They're challenging the Western media monopoly. They're offering a different lens through which to view global events. This isn't about starting a media war. It's about asking questions. It's about acknowledging that there's more than one side to every story. Are you ready to hear a different perspective? Buckle up, because things are about to get interesting. Let's take a step back in time. The way we consume news has evolved dramatically over the years. From the days of newspapers and radio broadcasts to the era of 24/7 television news and now, the digital age. Today, news is at our fingertips, accessible anytime, anywhere. Social media platforms have further revolutionized how we get our news, often in real time. But with this convenience comes a new set of challenges. The spread of misinformation and fake news has become a significant concern. Fact-checkers work tirelessly to separate fact from fiction, but the sheer volume of information can be overwhelming. This is where diverse perspectives become crucial. Different viewpoints can help us see the bigger picture. Newsrooms around the world are recognizing the importance of this diversity. Journalists from various backgrounds bring unique insights and experiences to their reporting. This global collaboration can lead to more balanced and comprehensive news coverage. As consumers, we have the power to seek out these diverse perspectives. Using news aggregator apps and following multiple sources can help us get a well-rounded view of events. Engaging in discussions and debates with others can also broaden our understanding. Critical thinking is key. Questioning what we read and seeking out multiple viewpoints can lead to a more informed perspective. Embracing diversity in news not only enriches our knowledge, but also fosters a more inclusive and understanding world. So, let's celebrate these diverse voices and stories. Buckle up, because things are about to get even more interesting. Let's be real. Western media isn't some evil empire. It's not a monolithic entity with a single agenda. It's a complex ecosystem with many moving parts, each with its own set of priorities and challenges. But it does have its blind spots and biases. These biases aren't always intentional, but they are there, shaped by cultural, economic, and political factors. It's like that friend who means well but always steers the conversation back to themselves. They don't realize they're doing it, but it happens all the same. One biggie: Western media often frames stories through a Western lens. This isn't just about geography. It's about values, priorities, and perspectives that are deeply ingrained. It's like looking at the world through a pair of rose-colored glasses, but these glasses are tinted with Western values and priorities. This tint affects how stories are told and which stories are deemed important. This can lead to skewed narratives. Stories can be oversimplified, and important nuances can be lost in translation, especially when reporting on developing nations or non-Western cultures. These stories often get filtered through a Western-centric viewpoint, which can distort the reality on the ground. Another issue? The good old us versus them narrative. This binary way of thinking can be incredibly reductive. Western media sometimes paints a simplistic picture. Complex situations are boiled down to good versus evil, right versus wrong. The West, the good guys, the saviors, the ones who come to the rescue. Everyone else, well, not so much. Non-Western countries often get portrayed as the problem, the threat, or the ones in need of saving. This binary thinking ignores the complexities of global issues. It reduces multifaceted problems to simple narratives that fit neatly into a Western worldview. It can fuel stereotypes and misunderstandings. These simplified narratives can perpetuate harmful stereotypes and deepen cultural divides. Don't even get us started on the influence of corporate interests and political agendas. These forces can shape what gets reported and how it's framed. These factors can subtly, or not so subtly, shape news coverage. Certain narratives get amplified, others get drowned out. The stories that align with corporate or political interests often get more airtime. It's a slippery slope from objective reporting to pushing an agenda. The line between news and opinion can get blurred, making it hard for audiences to discern fact from spin. So, before you take everything you read at face value, remember this: there's always more to the story. The headlines and sound bites are just the tip of the iceberg. And sometimes, to get the full picture, you need to look beyond the usual suspects. Seek out diverse perspectives, question the narratives, and dig deeper. Only then can you start to see the world in all its complexity and richness. Hold on to your hats, folks, because the BRICS nations are making their voices heard. This isn't just a whisper in the wind, it's a resounding declaration that they are here to stay. The BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, are no longer content with being passive observers in the global media landscape. They are stepping up, and they are doing it with a bang. They're flexing their media muscles and challenging the Western narrative. For decades, Western media has held a monopoly on global news, shaping perceptions and influencing opinions. But now the BRICS nations are saying, hold on a minute, we have our own stories to tell and our own ways of telling them. No longer content with being relegated to the sidelines, they're stepping into the spotlight. This isn't just about gaining attention, it's about asserting their presence and influence on the world stage. They are making it clear that their perspectives matter, and they are here to contribute to the global dialogue. Think of it like this. For years, the global conversation has been dominated by a select few. Major Western media outlets have been the gatekeepers of information, deciding what gets covered and how it's presented. This has led to a somewhat one-sided view of global events, often ignoring or underrepresenting the voices and experiences of non-Western countries. Now imagine a new group enters the chat. This group isn't just adding noise, they're bringing valuable insights and perspectives that have been missing from the conversation. The BRICS nations are filling in the gaps, providing a more balanced and comprehensive view of the world. They bring fresh perspectives, different experiences, and alternative viewpoints. This isn't just about offering a counter-narrative, it's about enriching the global discourse with a diversity of voices. The stories they tell and the angles they explore add depth and nuance to our understanding of global events. This is what BRICS media brings to the table. It's a rich tapestry of stories and perspectives that challenge the status quo and invite us to see the world through a different lens. This diversity is not just beneficial, it's essential for a well-rounded understanding of global issues. Take Russia Today, RT, for example. This state-funded news channel offers a Russian perspective on global events. It's a perspective that is often at odds with Western narratives, providing a different take on issues ranging from international politics to cultural affairs. This state-funded news channel offers a Russian perspective on global events. It's not just about presenting news, it's about framing it in a way that reflects Russian interests and viewpoints. This can be both enlightening and controversial, depending on where you stand. Then there's China Global Television Network, CGTN, China's answer to BBC World Service. CGTN aims to present China's viewpoint on global issues, offering a counterbalance to Western media narratives. It's a platform for China to share its stories, its achievements, and its challenges with the world. These outlets present news with a decidedly non-Western slant. They offer alternative viewpoints that challenge the dominant narratives we've grown accustomed to. This isn't just about being different, it's about providing a fuller picture of global events. But it's not just about state-run media. The media landscape in BRICS nations is far more complex and varied than that. Independent outlets are also making their mark, offering a range of perspectives that are often more critical and nuanced. Independent outlets are also popping up across the BRICS nations. These outlets are often more daring, willing to tackle controversial issues and challenge both Western and their own government's narratives. They are the mavericks of the media world, pushing boundaries and asking tough questions. They're providing nuanced coverage and challenging both Western and their own government's narratives. This is crucial for a healthy media ecosystem, as it ensures that no single narrative goes unchallenged. It fosters a culture of critical thinking and informed debate. It's a media landscape that's becoming increasingly diverse and frankly more interesting. The variety of voices and perspectives makes for a richer, more engaging media experience. It's a dynamic environment where new ideas and viewpoints can flourish. This rise of BRICS media isn't without its critics. Some argue that these outlets are just mouthpieces for their governments, pushing propaganda rather than objective journalism. It's a valid concern, and one that shouldn't be dismissed lightly. Some argue that these outlets are just mouthpieces for their governments, pushing propaganda rather than objective journalism. It's a valid concern. However, it's also important to recognize that all media outlets, to some extent, reflect the interests and biases of their owners and funders. But it's also a simplification of a complex issue. The reality is that media, whether Western or non-Western, is influenced by a myriad of factors, including political, economic, and cultural forces. Understanding this complexity is key to navigating the global media landscape. Remember when Russia decided to, shall we say, reintegrate Crimea? Yeah, that was a whole thing, wasn't it? And a prime example of how Western and BRICS media can paint very different pictures of the same event. Western media largely condemned Russia's actions. Headlines screamed of invasion and aggression. Pundits denounced Putin's regime. The narrative was clear. Russia was the aggressor, Ukraine the victim. Meanwhile, Russian media, particularly state-controlled outlets, spun a different yarn. They claimed that Crimea had historically been part of Russia and that its people had chosen to rejoin their motherland. They portrayed the West as meddling in Russia's backyard and whipping up anti-Russian sentiment. So, who's right? Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The truth, as is often the case, likely lies somewhere in the messy middle. The point is, by consuming news from only one side of the fence, you're only getting half the story. And let's be honest, half a story is just as bad as a completely fake one. The rise of BRICS media is a crucial development in the global information landscape. It challenges us to question the narratives we are presented with and to seek out diverse perspectives. But it also raises important questions. Like this video, subscribe for more in-depth analysis, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think BRICS media are a positive or negative development? Are they providing a much-needed counter-narrative, or are they simply promoting their own agenda?